Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu are both speaking out about the dawn of a new era in the relationship between India and Israel. Modi took to Twitter to say he has a counterpart who is equally committed to taking the India-Israel relationship to soaring new heights. He says they are committed to facilitating the flow of people and ideas. In terms of defense, he says he has invited Israeli companies to take advantage of the liberalized foreign direct investment regime. He also says they are venturing into less explored areas of cooperation, such as oil and gas, cybersecurity, films and startups. Netanyahu is leading the largest ever trade delegation accompanying an Israeli premier. A short while ago, the two leaders spoke at a news conference in New Delhi. Netanyahu was sounding upbeat.
You are a revolutionary leader, in the best sense of the word revolution. You are revolutionizing India. You're catapulting this magnificent state into the future, and you have revolutionized the relationship between Israel and India.
Well, we now cross live to New Delhi, where we're joined by journalist Neha Punia. Neha, thank you so much for your time. We saw the two leaders embrace on the tarmac in New Delhi on Sunday. They were both singing each other's praises, clearly a very positive rapport. What are the main outcomes from the news conference earlier today in your mind?
Absolutely. I think the optics, the camaraderie between the two leaders who've referred to each other by their first names is what's dominated headlines. And that really is the big takeaway from the joint press statement made by both Prime Minister Netanyahu and Narendra Modi. Like you said, 9 deals have been signed. This is spanning cooperation across various fields, including filmmaking, tourism. There is talk of cooperation in the fields of oil and gas, as well as cybersecurity. Apart from that, the two leaders also spoke of the rich cultural heritage that both nations share, and they try to use that as an example for the kind of potential that ties between the two nations hold. Defense is another area that was spoken of quite extensively. Now, as far as the Indian government is concerned, they're saying that the $500 million Spike missile deal was not directly raised, but the two leaders have discussed ways to enhance defense cooperation.
Now, take us through what India will be hoping to benefit from this relationship long term. You mentioned 9 deals already, but long term, what is India hoping to get from this relationship?
Various things. I mean, Israel's technological know-how, its expertise in various fields like agriculture, water conservation, renewable energy is something that India is hoping to tap into, to learn from. Of course, India's relationship with Israel is primarily based on defense equipment buying, something that spans about $2 billion. That's something that India is wanting to expand on as well, but on its own terms. Prime Minister Modi said very categorically that while he wants to enhance defense cooperation with Israel, he would prefer it if Israeli companies manufactured locally after coming to India. So that's another scope of potential as far as India is concerned. As far as cultural ties are concerned, there's also something that India is wanting to build on, to have more Indian filmmakers shoot and produce their films in Tel Aviv. And of course, business, which lags behind. It's only about $2 billion. But India feels that could be much higher.
Now, it's interesting that you speak about Bollywood and stars being encouraged to come and shoot films in Israel. One would have thought that you were the experts when it came to shooting movies like this.
Absolutely. But, you know, as far as the Indian film industry is concerned, popularly referred to as Bollywood, the fans of Bollywood span any kind of geographical boundary, including your Prime Minister Netanyahu. While speaking at that press statement, he said very categorically that he and his wife Sarah are very excited to be traveling to Mumbai later this week to meet Bollywood personalities. So India recognizes the kind of presence and popularity that Bollywood stars have in different countries, Israel being one of them. They want to tap into that.
And Nia, we're going to let you go, but very briefly, in terms of this visit for the next few days, what else can we expect to hear from these two leaders?
Well, there's one roadshow planned in in Prime Minister Modi's state of Gujarat, where Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to be visiting a Center for Agricultural Excellence. So we might hear some more statements as far as cooperation in fields of technology exchange are concerned. There's a visit planned to Mumbai, but apart from meeting the film fraternity, Prime Minister Netanyahu will also visit the Chabad House, which was attacked in the 2008 Mumbai terror attack. So we could also possibly hear another statement on terror cooperation and intelligence sharing. So while most of the work was accomplished today, there's still a lot more on Prime Minister Netanyahu's itinerary when it comes to his first India visit.
Nia Punia, thank you so much for your time, journalist in New Delhi, updating. What are the main outcomes that you're hearing about this really positive relationship between the two of them?
Well, Benita, we could look at those 9 deals that were signed over the course of the next few days. We might hear more about that all-important $500 million defense deal that was off, maybe now on again. We'll hear about what the future holds for that. As Neha said, the defense component, so important to this bilateral relationship. But as so often with these state visits, what's said is often less important than the fact that the visit is happening. Again, the first Israeli prime minister to visit India in 15 years, just 6 months after Narendra Modi became the first ever Indian prime minister to visit Israel. The two leaders showing that they want this relationship to strengthen. Again, while there are obstacles ahead, whether it be that issue of technology transfer on defense deals that Neha mentioned, whether it be the issue of India's abstention or India's rather vote in favor of the Jerusalem resolution of the General Assembly, which very much disappointed Israel, or whether it has to do with Israel's need to balance the relationship with Israel, potentially with its relationship with the Muslim world. There are obstacles ahead, but certainly a lot of dimensions pushing this relationship forward. The fact of this visit, I think, more important than the individual.
We talk about Israel being an expert in defense. What does this mean for the region, for India, especially with its relationship with Pakistan? What do they stand to benefit in terms of the breakdown?
Well, Benita, India is the world's largest arms importer, and it has tension with its neighbor Pakistan that goes back decades, and particularly on the line of control in Kashmir. By the way, reports in the Indian press today that the Indian military killed 5 Pakistani soldiers and injured 4 on that line of control in Kashmir. Just a day in the life of that conflict. Also, the potential for conflict between India and China. There was tension on their border over an unsettled border dispute just a few months ago. So again, India feeling the need to invest in arms equipment. But again, the challenge for India, Benita, is over the course of time to produce more of those arms by itself. Naturally, the Israeli defense establishment has the need to see India as a customer. So how do you balance those two needs? How, on the one hand, can the Israeli defense sector profit from its deals, while on the other hand, India gets that technology transfer that's so important to it and what it sees as its national security strategy? Certainly one of the many topics, but one topic in particular that's at the center, I'm sure, of discussion.